The book is perpetually relevant. It's trending and now it's hot. Are people speculating for the wrong reasons? Another week, another list, the hottest comic books in the world, and we got Gem Mint from Gem Mint Collectibles. How you feeling, brother?
I'm doing great, Tom. Last week, DC dominated the list. Let's see if they can keep it up this week.
Heading to MegaCon this week. I'm about to get on an airplane in 3 hours, but I'm here for the comic fam. Hit the like, slap the subscribe, and at the list at number 10, Green Lantern number 40 from 1965.
We've got the first appearance of Krona, most notably known for his role in the Brightest Day arc. We have James Gunn Green Lantern spec on deck. It looks like collectors are suspecting that Krona may show up.
Part of the Guardians of the Universe doing something that was forbidden, utilizing a machine to look back in time at the creation of the universe. He was obsessed. He had to know, but in doing so, not only created the Green Lantern Corps, but the Red Lanterns as well, causing a trickle effect across the DC universe.
The first time this book is showing up on the Hot 10, so let's keep track of that census count. So far, there are 1,027 copies, and we have 4 sales that haven't broke record, but are selling aggressively. We have a 4.5 that sold for $159, 20% above the average. The 5.0 selling for $157, falling short of the 4.5 sale, but still up 11%. The 6.5 selling for $260, that's 3%. And then the 8.0 selling for $600, 13% above its average.
Bottom line, Krona is one of the most significant and important Green Lantern foes. It makes sense that we would see spec happen in case he shows up in a live-action adaptation, or if he gets brought back to life since his demise that happened back in 2011. Now looking at the list at number 9, we have a fan favorite, ASM 361, the first appearance of Carnage. But before we get to that, support the show, enhance your comic collecting, download the best comic app in existence to keep track of your funny books, and keep up with the rapidly moving marketplace. Key Collector Comics. Code Tom101 unlocks a free 2-week subscription of the app.
Get access to this list before we even get a chance to make the video. Now, we haven't talked about Carnage since Venom 2, Let There Be Carnage, and Woody Harrelson didn't do this book any favors. The only thing that we really have going on for Carnage now is the new summer event, Summer of Symbiotes.
Do yourself a solid, pick up some Rom V goodness. Carnage is one of the best ongoing Marvel titles right now, and we have Carnage separating itself from Cletus Cassidy, becoming its own monster, its own host, and pulling a Siler from heroes and absorbing other villains and heroes' powers.
I love the promo art for this Summer of Symbiotes. They paid homage to the X-Men swimsuit pinups from back in the day. The first appearance of Carnage is heating up. A 9.2 selling for $135, 3% above its 12-month average. A 9.4 selling for $163, that's 12% above. The 9.6 sold for $236, 23% higher. And the 9.8 selling for $475, 5% above its average.
Yes, it may be trending now because of what's happening in the summer. However, the prices have dropped so much since Venom 2 that I think that there's another variable at play altogether for the Hot 10. Books are getting so cheap that they are irresistible. There's over 2,000 copies graded at a 9.2 on the CGC census, with the record high, May 2021, reaching $700. Recent prices, $118. Hot damn. The 9.4 has over 4,500 copies graded on the census. The record heights were reached in July 2021 for $600. Recent sale, $148. 9.6, over 8,500 copies exist. The record high was set in 2021 for $800. Recent sale, $180. And it doesn't stop there. The 9.8, shout out Comic Butch, we have over 5,000 copies graded on the census, with the record high being reached back in April 2021 for $1,620, with recent highs hitting $425.
No, it's a buyer's market for sure. A little bit of renewed interest, and then you scour the internet and notice these books are crazy affordable. Moving on to number 8, we do have some MCU news, and we have Hulk 1 from 2008 back on the list.
It's been 15 years since we've seen Liv Tyler portray Betty Ross, and 2 hours before we filmed this show, we had to update the script because it's been announced she's making a return. We have Thunderbolt Ross's daughter, Bruce Banner's love interest reprising the role.
No confirmation yet whether or not Harrison Ford will actually Hulk out in Captain America NWO, but we're still holding out hope. There are 226 more slabs added to the census since this thing reached number 3 on the Hot 10 January 9th. We have a CGC 9.4. 29 more copies added to the census for a total of 490. The record high was in April of 2021 when it sold for $290. But March of this year, this month still, selling for just $95.
The 9.6 has an increase of 97 copies added to the census. We need to consider these types of things as an extra variable to consider because supply is not only meeting demand, it's probably exceeding it, which is why we're seeing $309 sales back in 2021 for a 9.6, now selling for $159 March of this year. That's this month.
The 9.8 has 60 more slabs added to that census, bringing that total to 1,439 copies with a record high of $750 November of 2021. Last sale this month, $285.
The book is down, but it's piping hot for the same reasons we were just discussing. It's hard to imagine this book creeping down much lower, especially when you look at the 9.2. There were 2 sales, and the highest one was an increase of 8% when you compare it to the recent 12-month average. The 9.4, there were also 2 sales that exceeded the 12-month average of 18%, selling the height for $125. The 9.6 sold for $159, 11% increase over the last 12 months, and there were 3 sales that exceeded the 12-month average. The 9.8 had 4 different sales that exceeded the 12-month average, the highest being $325 for an increase of 9%.
So quite a bit higher than the $285 that I mentioned, but that was the last GPA sale. Moving on to number 7, we have some more movie news. Back over to DC, again on the list, Batman Adventures 12.
I got such a stupid fanboy crush on Lady Gaga. She's gonna kill the role. I need to know what everybody thinks of these brand new photos. Clearly, although I still don't think it's like officially announced, she's Harley Quinn.
She's looking like Harley Quinn to me, and this would be the first time that Harley Quinn was published in a comic book format. There are 14 more slabs added to the census since this made the Hot 10 just last week at number 7 for a total of 8,132 slabs.
There was 1 brand new 9.8 added to the census. Congratulations to that member. The heights this book reached was back in 2021 when it sold for $4,551. The last GPA 9.8 sale was $2,675. However, I consider this a modern blue chip key. What do you think, Jem?
For sure, Harley Quinn has solidified herself in pop culture to make this book the blue chip that it is. The newsstand in an 8.5 sold for $700, 11% above its 12-month average. The 9.2 newsstand sold for $999. That's 28% above that average.
That's over a $200 increase when you compare it to the last year. Clearly, members are excited like I am, but let me know in the comment section what you think about these recent photo reveals of Lady Gaga. The 9.0 standard market copy hit $695 for an increase of 4% when you compare it to the last year, and the 9.4 hit $875, and that's an increase of 8%.
Sticking with the DC keys and more James Gunn spec, number 6 on the list, we've got Detective Comics 469 from 1977, the first appearance of Dr. Phosphorus.
2 weeks ago, this book landed on the trending list, and it was largely because of the Tom King interview where he possibly made a slip up or revealed too much that the Creature Commandos was going to be a, quote, movie. Well, there's no announcement about that. All we know it's going to be this animation. However, what makes a book go from the trending to the Hot 10, Jem?
Record-breaking sales, baby, and we've got 4 of them to report here. We have a 7.5 that sold for $59 way back in 2015. It's up 69% now, selling for $100. The 9.0 sold for $100 back in July. It's up 25% now, selling for $125. And Tom, do the honors on the 2 big dogs.
9.4 going for $115 back in April, just sold for $142 for the first time in comic history for an increase of 23%. And the 9.8 last sold back in 2015. Keep in mind, there are only 39 copies graded at a 9.8 on the census. Well, it's sold for $575 and it's increased 30% with an all-new high of $750 bones.
Speaking of bones, we have an iconic bone logo, a skull, if you will, for number 5. We've got the Punisher 218, the photo John Bernthal cover.
Now, this is the same book that has been trending on and off for years because of John Bernthal's spec that began circulating back in 2019. There were rumors that he would reprise his role as Frank Castle, don the War Machine armor, go full Punisher, Iron Man, mech suit, and cause a ruckus. And then we got the Armor Wars spec that propelled this book to new grounds. What's going on with Armor Wars? Is that even happening anymore? The John Bernthal news has spiked up this key book before, but not this version of the book. This is the photo cover. I think that the other variant, when you're buying it for the key significance, is kind of a stretch. It's hard to imagine this happening on the screen. But a photo cover? This is perfect to get signed, perfect to get slabbed, and considering there's only 55 graded at a 9.8, members are waiting patiently for them to come up if they ever do.
55 9.8s, only 200 slabs total. We have high performers and record breakers to talk about here. A 9.2 sold for $175, right around that 12-month average, and the 9.6 sold for $300, 15% above its 12-month average.
The 9.0 had a record-breaking sale. Last sold in 2022 for $185, up 22%, now selling for $225. The 9.4, which sold for what the 9.0 went for back in April for $225, is up 14%, now selling for $256. And we told you about that 9.8. Well, one actually did sell this month, and it sold for about half of what it went for back in 2022. The heights this book reached was $1,500, and that didn't happen just one time. It happened almost twice with a second sale of $1,485. The high sale this month, $725. Now, I want to know what the community thinks in the comment section below, because I look at this book, I see the census count. I am as excited about John Bernthal as everyone else. I think this member got a deal.
We've already gotten Vincent D'Onofrio and Charlie Cox back. I can see John Bernthal reprising his role, and we're going to see a lot more people lining up for signatures on this book. Moving on to number 4, The Mandalorian Season 3 is back, and so is their first appearance in Star Wars 68.
Join me at MegaCon all weekend long. I'm doing something I don't think any store or any retailer has ever done. I have at least 7, maybe 8 if it works out, different covers, and I'm going to show them on the screen, but there's too many to count, especially when I tell you that I'm dropping them all for $4 a piece on the best new app to buy and sell collectibles. It's called Whatnot. Join me on there by clicking the link in the description. After your first purchase of $10 or more, you get a $10 credit. You're welcome. This is a great convention to attend, if not virtually.
Now, this looks like another one of those examples of having a little bit of renewed interest out there, but just being such a great time to buy that we're seeing a hurricane of sales here. We're going to start with the newsstands, and the 9.0 selling for $230, 3% above its 12-month average. The 9.2 selling for $300, 33% above its 12-month, and the 9.8 selling for $2,370. That's 18% up.
Now, we've seen Boba Fett in comics prior to this time, but this is the first mention of the Mandalorians, and we actually follow Shazam, who's depicted on the cover. This right here hit heights at a 9.8 back in March 2021, pretty much when it was like the height of Mando craze of, wait for it, $3,151. The last 9.8 sale happened last month in February for $1,300.
3 more 9.8s have been added to the census since it hit the trending list on January 26, and although the book is down, it's starting to creep up over that 12-month average. The 9.2 selling for $240, that's 21% up. The 9.4 selling for $260, that's 14% up. And the 9.6 selling for $450, 26% up.
The mythosaur exists on Mandalore, leaving the crown open for a Mandalorian to rule. Well, who is it going to be? Is it Bo-Katan? Is it Mando? We're probably going to see another Mandalorian, if not more Mandalorians, get into the mix. Fight for the crown.
Moving on to number 3 on the list, I gotta be honest, I'm kind of surprised to see it still made it. We've got Shazam, number 1 from 1973.
Considering the Rotten Tomatoes approval rating is 53%, but the audience score is 87%, by the way, higher than that of Shazam 1 at release, clearly the fandom is polarized. Clearly members were probably like me and didn't see the film as fast as the Shazam 1 release, probably because they, like me, saw Black Adam and were so severely disappointed.
I think a lot of fans like me saw the James Gunn announcement and the DC reboot and kind of didn't care about this movie. But collectors are still picking this book up. In a 6.5, it went for $71. That's 25% above its 12-month average. The 8.5 sold for $100. That's 8% up. The 9.0 went for $117, 11% up. The 9.2 for $125, which is 3% higher. And also 3% higher is the 9.6, which sold for $240.
This book made the Hot 10 list last week. There's been 14 new copies added to the CGC census, 2 of which were a 9.6, whose heights were reached in February 2022 when it sold for $424. But the last GPA sale puts it at just over $200. That happened this month. The 9.8, in which there are 295 copies that exist, hit heights of near $1,200 on average during the comic boom, had a recent sale this month of $800. So although there is a pretty steep dip, this is such a major moment for Shazam, you know, the return of Shazam as it was acquired by DC since the copyright infringements from the Golden Age were settled, that it's tough to believe that this book will drop much lower. Could it? Let me know in the comment section below. And that brings us to number 2 on the list with Omega Man number 3, the first appearance of Lobo, the book that people keep specking on with no new news.
It's like the tension keeps building and building. We haven't had any confirmation of anything Lobo, but you just know they're going to announce something. We have a CGC 9.2 that sold for $110, 12% above its average. There was actually 3 sales in a 9.2 that went above that average. Same with the 9.4, selling for $150. That's 43% above that 12-month average. And there were also 3 sales that did the same.
There were 7 different 9.6 sales that exceeded the 12-month average, the highest being 215, for an increase of 47%. The 9.8 hit 375. That's 13% over its 12-month average. For such a hot book, this book has actually kind of dipped. You know, it was kind of on pace and exceeding 400 for quite a while, but the 12-month average has been right around $333, probably because since last week's Hot 10, there's been an increase of 45 copies added to the census. Hot damn.
14 of those were 9.6s and 16 of those were 9.8s. So yeah, you got a supply and demand thing going on here with a total of 8,150 slabs on the census.
Hit the like, slap the subscribe. Join me at MegaCon, click that link, and at the list at number 1, the book that won't come off the list, but it's so damn hot. We have the first appearance of Power Girl in All-Star Comics, issue number 58 from 1976.
But why though? I mean, what's going on with Power Girl besides DC Comics publishing a one-shot for her, putting her back into print? The only thing even close is that we have the same character, different version, showing up in the Flash movie.
She recently got a new costume, Power Structure, courtesy of the Lazarus Planet, and a backup in the ongoing run of Action Comics. I recommend it. And we saw multiple covers solicited for this one-shot that's coming out in May. But it's all about that cover B art germ. Hot damn.
4 more slabs added to the census since this was number 4 on the Hot 10 last week. And I don't know if it's just the covers, if it's the new powers, or if it's just a property that James Gunn wants to play with. We have a record-breaking sale in a 9.0. It sold for $425 in 2021, up 20%, now selling for $510.
That's a record breaker. And we also have a 5.0 that's trending 45% up, selling for $144. Possibly a member overpaying because the 6.0 sold for less for $140. Not by much, but that's still an increase of 41% when you compare it to the recent 12-month average. The 7.5 hit $189, 28% over. The 8.0 hit $260. That's 57% over. And the 8.5 hit $275. That's 60% over the recent 12 months. Now, here's something to consider. The 9.4 actually had a GPA sale recorded this month in March for $600. Now, we've been reporting about a lot of books on this list, a lot of books that are a fan favorite that many are collecting and hunting and speculating on. The $600 sale, this 9.4 hit, tied the 2021 heights of $600. So clearly members are not just buying this book, they're holding.
What is making All-Star 58 so hot? Let us know what you think in the comments down below.
As always,
geek responsibly and stay minty fresh.
I'll see you over at MegaCon. Enough said. We're at MegaCon, and I got Davis Ryder here and John Boy Myers on Whatnot. Click the link below. join the stream. Thank you so much for your support, and have a great week. We have other videos to watch, but don't watch them right now. Come on or whatnot. I'll see you soon.